All right, in this video we're going to talk about uncertainty and some of the applications that arise out of that fact where I have some numbers and I have some precision that I'm working with, and I have to figure out how to do operations with those numbers. Now, before we start doing this, we're going to actually skip this explore section and jump right down to this information piece here. And it says, so when two measurements with uncertainties are added together, you also add the uncertainties. So remember from a previous video, if we're gonna look at what a number is with uncertainty, I'm gonna have plus or minus a certain quantity. Okay, and that number I add on the end is gonna be half of the precision of the measuring device we're working with. Okay, so if I'm gonna add those two quantities, 10 centimeters plus or minus 1, and 50 plus or minus 2, we're gonna add the 10 and the 50 together, which is where our 60 comes from, and we're gonna add together the uncertainties of 1 and 2, which gives us an uncertainty of 3 for our new measurement. All right, so keeping that in mind, we're also just gonna skip this explore section as well. And straight again to the information piece. When two measurements with uncertainties are subtracted, we're going to add those uncertainties together just like we did for the previous example. All right, so that first example on the bottom, we're going to use those two pieces of information to help us out. Two tennis balls are going to be packed into a cylinder, one on top of the other, like the picture shows. The diameter of each tennis ball is 67 millimeters plus or minus 1.6 millimeters. We're asked what the combined height of the two tennis balls is. Whenever you see combined height, really it's going to tell you to add. Now the two tennis balls are going to be identical in size. So if I'm given the diameter of it, really it's telling me the height of the tennis ball. Because remember, the diameter is the line that goes straight through the center of that object, straight through the center of that circle, end to end. And so that's going to tell us what the height is. So if I do the combined height, we are going to take 67 millimeters plus or minus 1.6 millimeters. There's one of the tennis balls, and we're going to add it to itself for the other tennis ball. Now when we add those two things together, we should get 134 millimeters plus or minus 3.2 millimeters. Okay, if we're adding measurements with uncertainties, our uncertainty should become larger because I'm uncertain about both measurements. Okay, which means my uncertainty gets larger the more things I add together. We're also asked, what is the shortest cylinder that will safely fit the two tennis balls? So really, I need to use the previous question to help me out. So I know what the height of the two tennis balls are. If I'm looking for the shortest cylinder, I'm basically looking for the shortest height of those two tennis balls that will safely fit. So I'm going to take my 134 millimeters, I'm going to subtract 3.2 millimeters, and it's going to tell me that the shortest cylinder is going to be 130.8 millimeters, and that will safely fit the two tennis balls. Okay, part B then says two boards are placed end to end. The first length is 115 inches plus or minus 1 inch, and the second length is 100 inches plus or minus 1 inch. What is their combined length? So I can go ahead and add together those two measurements, because I'm asked for the combined length. So I get 215 inches plus or minus 2 inches. Okay, and that was going to be the total of the two boards side by side. Okay, add the following two measurements together. Again, I'm adding, so I'm going to add together the measurements first, so 55 plus 25, and we're going to get 80 centimeters, and we're going to add together the uncertainties, so it should be 80 centimeters plus or minus 5 centimeters. Okay, second example, a carpenter buys a board that is 200 inches plus or minus half an inch, and he cuts off a piece that is 10 inches plus or minus half an inch. What's the length of the remaining piece? So it helps if we add some numbers to this. So this entire board is 200 plus or minus 0.5 inches. The little piece we're going to cut off is 10 inches plus or minus half an inch. And we're asked what the length of the remaining piece is. So what we're going to do is take the total length of the board, subtract the piece that's getting cut off, and we're going to be left with the piece that's remaining. So if I take the total, which is 200 inches plus or minus half an inch, and we subtract the 10 inches plus or minus, again, that half inch for uncertainty, we're going to be left with 190 inches plus or minus 1 inch. I still have to add together those uncertainties, but I'm going to subtract the measurements that we've made. Okay, so there's my remaining piece. Last one in this section, we're going to perform the following subtraction. So we're going to take 55, subtract 25 from it, and we're going to be left with 30 centimeters, and we're going to add together the uncertainties, which gives us 5 centimeters. So here is our number. The key idea summary for this is when two measurements with uncertainties are added, you're going to add the uncertainties, and when they're subtracted, you're still going to add the uncertainties. Okay, down below are some you can try for yourself. And there are the answers to help you out. In the next video, we're going to talk about tolerance and what that means, and that will be the last video in this playlist.